Okay, so today's webinar, a time to get a handle on your favorites and bookmarks. Just a little intro here. Our next webinar is next week, Wednesday, October 10th at 4 o'clock p.m. And it's entitled 5 Websites That Will Keep You Thinking. Sort of on the line of our last webinar where we looked at some apps on our phone that everyone should have. These are some websites that you should find very interesting. I know I do. You can sign up at 4kcc.com/webinars. And also for those of you that have been coming to webinars, I hope you noticed that I'm trying to change days. I'm trying to do different times. Like this morning it started at 9. Sometimes they start at 1, at 2, at 4. And I'm doing that hopefully, you can work it into your schedule. We are doing a webinar a week now, a 30-minute webinar. And hopefully you're finding them helpful. And I assume you are because a lot of the same people are signing up each week. So anyway, the next one is 5 websites that will keep you thinking, 4kcc.com/webinars to sign up. If you live on the Treasure Coast of Florida, our next seminar is Saturday, October 20th. Give thanks as you are able. And if you've been paying attention, I've been giving you lots of hints with the pictures as to what this subject is about. So we'll see whether those people coming to the seminar can figure that out. And once again, I just want to mention our blog, 4kcc.com/blog. You should go to that as often as you can, every day. Pretty much, we're putting up 6 posts a week, and you can see the latest one was about Windows 10 October update, and there's all kinds of stuff. They're about 3 to 4 minute read normally, so you won't spend a lot of time. But if you're not careful, you might actually learn something about computers and about computing that you didn't already know. So I would encourage you to go there. All right, so time to get a handle on your favorites and bookmarks. First, I'm going to put out a little poll that I would like everyone to respond to. And I'm going to send that out right now. And it says, which browser do you normally use? All right, that's normally used. In my case, like I have all of these browsers on my machine, and I use different ones for different reasons. But what I want you to do is I want you to click on, and which will then put a circle on the browser that you normally use, and then click submit. Now, for some of you, hopefully this will define what a browser is. A browser is not Yahoo. A browser is not Google search. But the browsers that I have listed here, Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Opera, AOL Desktop Gold, Internet Explorer, and other. Okay, so we still have one person so far who did not vote. So we're looking for you to vote. There we go. Everyone has voted now. And I thank you for that. And that helps me understand which browsers that you're using and that you need to understand about favorites and bookmarks. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, the first thing we have to do is I have to explain something about the word bookmark and the word favorite. As a noun, they mean the exact same thing. All right, so it doesn't matter whether you call it a favorite or whether you call it a bookmark, it's the exact same thing. All right, so just know that. And I often use the terms interchangeably. And so if I do that during the webinar, you'll know that I'm talking about the same thing, whether I call it a favorite or a bookmark. Now, just so you know, the word favorite is used in Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, and the AOL desktop browser. The word bookmark is used in Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, and Safari. Again, though, it means the exact same thing. It's just a different term, but it's identical. So what does the term mean? All right, so here's the definition for you. A bookmark or favorite, whichever you want to call it, is used to mark a web page so that you can easily get back to it. By marking the page as a favorite, you can get back to it without having to type and without using a search engine. Now, it's difficult for me to believe sometimes, but people will come into remote and they will be having trouble, say, with their bank. And I'll say, okay, take me to your bank site. And they will go to a search engine and search the name of their bank. Okay, first of all, that's very inefficient. And remember, part of the reason for having a computer is to save time. And the other thing is that you take a chance. If you do that in a search engine, you take a chance on something coming up and you accidentally clicking on a malicious website. So you should not be doing that. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So here are some examples of web pages that you might want to bookmark. Naturally, I would say 4kcc.com. And another one right along with that is 4kcc.com/blog. If you bookmark those, you'll just be able to click and go to them, which I'll show you in a little bit. And another one might be your bank or banks, your credit card login, your email, or any other site that you go to often. You should be marking those as favorites or bookmarks. And again, we want to avoid typing as much as possible because some of us are a little slower at typing than others. We're more likely to make a mistake, misspell something. And that can also get us to one of those malicious websites. So these are examples of web pages you might want to bookmark. Now, how do you mark a site as a favorite or a bookmark? Well, for those of you that come to my seminars, you've heard this before. It's the Microsoft answer. It depends. And what does it depend on? It depends on the browser that you're using. Each of the browsers may have you mark a favorite or a bookmark just a little bit differently. And we're going to look at all these in just a couple minutes. But how you do it is different. And then also how you get to them. Another thing is that browsers can have what's called a favorites or a bookmarks bar. And that's a bar that is across the top of the browser. And that's where you save the sites you use most often. Now, the only thing is that modern browsers, anything that's been updated, by default. Now, what do I mean by default? It means that if you just install a browser and don't make any changes, those are the default settings that the manufacturer, the creator of the browser sets for you. By default, most modern browsers have the favorites bar turned off. And what is a little bit frustrating for computer users is that you have it turned on, there's an update, and when you open the browser next time, it's turned off again, and you don't have a clue how to get it back on. The reason that that is being done is that they're trying to show you as much of the web page in the browser as they can. So the toolbar takes up space. You remember back in the old days of Windows XP, I had customers that would come in, and I had one customer that came in one time that had 13 toolbars at the top. I mean, you could barely see any of the web page because all the toolbars are there. So browser manufacturers like Microsoft and Google and all those, Mozilla, Firefox, they've decided, okay, look, we're going to try to give you as much web page room as we can. So that means we're going to turn the toolbar off. And that's what they do. And if that happens, you should know how to turn it back on. And you should also know how to mark favorites to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go live, and I'm going to bring up some browsers so you can see. And I'm going to start with Microsoft Edge. The 69% of you said you're using that as your default browser. So you'll definitely want to pay attention to this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 4kcc.com and hit the enter key. Now, if you look at the end of the address bar, now does everyone know where the address bar is? The address bar is at the top It's over here where it says HTTPS. All right. So that is the address bar. All the way over to the right, there's a little star. And you notice that it's just kind of black and white. That means that this page has not been marked as a bookmark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that star. I'm going to click on it. And you'll see that you may have to move my picture. If it's in the road, you can just move that window. You'll see when that comes up that there is a little box, and at the top there's favorites and reading list. You make sure you're on favorites, and you can rename. See, I have this big long name. You don't really need that. I can hit that and say 4KCC. That's all I need for the name. Now, I can put it in just regular favorites, or I can drop down and I could put it in the favorites bar. All right, or I could put it in some other folder. I could name it, some other folder that I wanted. So I'm going to click on that. I put it in favorites. I've added it to favorites, just regular favorites. Now, if you notice, the star at the end of the address bar is now gold. That means I have marked this site a favorite. So how would I get to it? Let's say I was on some other page and I wanted to go to 4kcc.com without typing it. In Edge, I'm going to go up to what's called the hub. And that's the second star that you see over near the end. And that's called the hub. And that has all kinds of stuff in it. It has favorites, a reading list, a book, history, downloads, none of which we're going to get in today. Okay, because this is a webinar just on marking favorites and bookmarks. So now I would go all the way down to the bottom, and my last bookmark is there. And if I click it, it takes me to 4kcc.com. So again, now I see the gold star, and I see that the gold star is, of course, gold. So that means I have marked it as a favorite. So that's how I marked it a favorite. Now, let's say I wanted to mark it a page in the toolbar, which I do have showing. So I'm going to go to 4kcc.com/blog. And once again, look over to the right in the address bar, and you see this star. It is black and white. That means I have never marked this as a favorite. So I'm going to click on that, and this time I'm going to save in the favorites bar. So I'm going to click that, and here's my favorites bar. And now I'm going to say add. I could change the name again, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to say add. Now, it's now in my favorites bar. The only thing is, I have so many favorites on my favorites bar. I actually have to hit an arrow to get to see them all. So you won't see it right up here at the top because I have too many favorites in the favorites bar. All right, and that can happen. Now, when that happens, it probably means you've added too many things and you don't need those things in the favorites bar. So here's another thing you can do in terms of organizing. I can go up here, like here's one called the Web Slice Gallery. I can right click on that and I can delete it. And that means I can remove it from the favorites bar. Surface by Microsoft, I can delete that and remove it from the favorites bar. So what can happen is I can move along and take some of these and get the rest of them from the favorites bar to show up. All right, so that's how that works in Edge. Now let me go to Google Chrome. And I know I'm going a little fast here, but hopefully you'll get the idea. So now I'm in Google Chrome. And once again, I'm going to go to 4kcc.com. And just like in Edge, at the end of the address bar here at the top, you see there's a star. It's black and white. That means I have not marked this a favorite. So I'm going to click on it, and guess what? It gives me kind of the same thing. I could rename it. I can call this 4KCC. I can put it in what's called other bookmarks, or I could put it in the favorites bar. So I'm going to put it in the favorites bar and say done. Now, once again, in Google Chrome, I have more favorites in the favorites bar than can fit across. So when I hit the arrow, you can see all these favorites that are in the favorites bar. If I go to the very bottom, eventually, I should get, it didn't go to the very bottom, but the 4KCC will be in there. Now, the star is now blue. It's not gold, it's blue, but that means I have marked that a favorite. Okay, and again, instead of putting it in the bar, I could put it in other bookmarks, or I could create a new folder. So like if I'll say choose another folder, and now I can bring this up, I can make a new folder and say, I'll call it Keystone. Okay, so now I saved it in a folder named Keystone. So again, if I go to my bookmarks, I can take a look at that. Now, in Google Chrome, I'm going to click on the 3 vertical dots in the right-hand corner. And when I do that, you'll see it says bookmarks. And now, here are all the bookmarks that I have in Google Chrome, and I can organize them by clicking on the Bookmark Manager. And when I do that, eventually it will come up. There it is. You'll see that I have a folder now. You see I have a lot of folders. And part of that is because I imported from Internet Explorer, where I had about 2,500 bookmarks. So let's see if I can find the Keystone one we made. Somewhere it's there. Well, at any rate, it's in there somewhere. But that's the Bookmarks Manager. And again, the fact that the page shows blue, it means it's been bookmarked. Now we're going to go, and now I'm going to go to Firefox and show you Firefox. All right, so I'm going to go to 4kcc.com again. Once again, at the end of the address bar, there's a star. It's black and white. I'm going to click on that. And now it asks me, where do I want to put that? Okay, and I put it in other bookmarks. I could put it in the bookmarks bar, the toolbar. Let's do that. Okay, so now it's in the bar right there, computer service. I could have changed that name to 4KCC if I wanted to. Notice that the star is blue, just like in Google Chrome. It's blue. That means I have bookmarked this page. Just for the fun of it, let's go to the blog. And when I go to the blog page, you'll notice that the star at the end of the address bar is black and white again. That means I have not marked it a favorite. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put it in the toolbar again, and I'm going to say done. And now you see at the top, it says 4KCC blog. So if I was on some other page, all I would have to do is click on that, and it will go to the blog. Instead of me having to type it or do something else, it'll go to the blog. Now I'm also going to show you Safari. So we'll bring up Safari, which of course a lot of Apple users use, but also Windows users. There's a Windows version. And this actually opens to 4kcc.com. Okay, so in here, this is my home page in Safari. So let's go to the blog. And let's see what happens here. Okay, now in this one, you notice at the end of the address bar, there's no star. Okay, did you notice that over here? There's no star to mark it to bookmark it. Okay, but what there is a plus sign to the left of the address. And now I can add this page to the reading list. I can add it to the top sites. I can add it to the bookmark bar, to the bookmark menu, wherever I want. So I'm going to add it to the bar and say add. And now if you look up in the bar, there's the 4KCC blog. So in Safari, there's no star. There's a plus sign to the left of the address. But again, it does the exact same thing. All right. It allows you to add it as a bookmark or a favorite so that you don't have to type, that you can just click and go there. So if I go back to any page I'm on, I can now go up there and click on the blog and it will take me there. And no chance of me mistyping something, no chance of anything like that happening. Now we have one more browser I'm going to show you, and that's the Opera browser, in case any of you are using that. The Opera browser, again, same thing. It's going to be bookmarks. And as soon as it decides to open here, we'll take a look at it. Here it comes. Okay, so I'm on the 4KCC blog right now. To the right of the address bar, you can see there's a heart. And it's just plain black and white heart. That means I've never marked it a bookmark. So if I click on that, a little window will come up and I can put it on the bar. I can put it wherever I want. So I'm going to say done. And now you notice the heart is red. Interesting, the different colors for the hearts, isn't it? So anyway, it's red. And now we know that if we come to this page, we'll see a red heart and we say, oh, that's already a bookmark. Now you can't tell whether it's on the bookmark toolbar or whether it's just in bookmarks, but the red means you've marked it a bookmark. You've bookmarked it a favorite. So that's how it is in Opera. And the same thing, I could be on any page. And if I go, I put that in the toolbar. If I click on there, I can get to that and it'll take me to the blog. And there it is. And again, it's red because it's marked a favorite. Okay, so all that is very quick in those browsers to show you how to mark things favorites. Now, one of the things that happens is, and I'm just going to open the Google Chrome. It makes no difference which browser. But here's one of the things that happens with favorites and bookmarks. I know you're going to find this hard to believe as a computer user, but websites change their stuff. So for instance, this just happened to me the other day. I went to go to the login for my Exxon gas card. And I had a bookmark. And I clicked on the bookmark and went to go to it, and it said page not found. And the reason is that Exxon is Citicorp. Citicorp changed the login procedure. So now I had to go and find the new login page. I had to get rid of the old bookmark and put a new one. So the same thing is true this is pretty much true in all the browsers. If you have a bookmark, like I'm going to go up here to the toolbar, I'm up here, this Surface by Microsoft. If I don't want that anymore, or if it's changed, it's wrong, I right click, and from the menu, I can choose delete. So I'm going to choose delete. And so that's one of the ways that you can organize bookmarks. That's a difficult thing, organization. And the truth is, I'm actually going to, it won't be next week because we have one planned, but I'm going to have a follow-up webinar on just organizing bookmarks in the different browsers. But you should know that a prerequisite will be you will have had to have seen this webinar because this webinar shows you how to mark things as favorites or bookmark them. But we have to get organized, and this is what can happen. Originally, and this was years ago, I had about, I don't know, 4,000 maybe bookmarks, and none of them were in folders. Trying to find anything. So one day, I took the entire day. It was a weekend day, I think a Saturday. And I took 8 hours and I organized all my bookmarks into folders and different things that I wanted. That was a lot of time to do that. It's much easier to organize as you go. So in a follow-up webinar, we're going to take what you learned today, which is how do I bookmark something? How do I know a page is bookmarked? If you see the star and it has color in it, it means it's bookmarked and you already have it there and you shouldn't be typing it. You should go to the bookmark. But if you can't find it because things are so fouled up, then you have to know how to organize your bookmarks. And that's what we're going to do. That'll probably be 2 weeks from now. And we'll follow up on that. That'll give everyone time who hasn't had a chance to see this webinar. They can watch it. You can watch it again if you're here and just go over some of the things. The main thing I wanted you to get today is how to bookmark something, how to tell if it's bookmarked. And again, the most important thing is if you go to a site all the time, you should not be typing it. You should not be going to a search. You should be using a bookmark or favorite. All right, so that's going to be about it for today. Joyce, were there any questions that I need to address at this point?
No, there are no questions at this time.
Okay, very good. So thank you for attending today. And again, 4kcc.com/webinars. Sign up for next week's. And pretty soon I'll have the follow-up to this one up and you can sign up for that also. All right, thanks. Have a great day.